Hi, this is part 2 of our drawing experience, and this time we're going to talk about proportions, how you look at an animal to get the proportions right. So, animals like people have body parts, and what we want to do is we want to make sure we get the right sizes for those body parts. These are some examples of horse drawings that my students did when I asked them to just draw a horse without any instructions. And you can see that some of them aren't too bad. This is pretty good. He's got a little problem with the neck being more like a spaghetti rather than... Here we have some proportion problems, and how do you get all those legs attached to that long body. It's a very simple drawing, but it's what I would expect without any further directions, and they just draw what they are already comfortable with. This pony got a little chubby. But then there are ponies that have weight problems too. What do we have here? Oh, we got to work on the face on this horse a little bit. See if we can get him to look more horsey-like. And then here's one that had a lot of fun with it, made it a unicorn and a Pegasus. That's all good. So maybe your drawing looks like this. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not quite as good, but we're going to try and make it, bring it up and improve it by talking about how to get the parts and pieces to look right. Doesn't matter what kind of animal it is. Animals, like people, have hips, a chest, and a head. If you've got a little tiny animal like a chipmunk, you still have the hips, the chest, and the head. But they're in different sizes. You got something like a giraffe. This guy is way out of proportion. His hips are much smaller than his chest, and then this tiny head way on the end of that neck. And those legs are amazing. Even if you have a gigantic animal, the largest land mammal that we have, you've got hips and a chest and his head. So we have to look at those parts and get them to be proportionate, which means, you know, how big are they compared to the other parts to get your animal to look right. Here's our horse. I'm going to put this down here. And I've got a piece of an overlay on it. So we're going to make the shapes very, very simple. Keep it simple. When you look at the hips, and the hips are the most powerful part of an animal because he's going to drive himself forward using those hips and those legs. That will be the largest of our shapes. His chest supplies the blood and the energy to drive those hips because he's got the lungs and his heart in there. And that's the second largest shape. And then his head, sorry, most of our heads are small because all they contain is the brain. And that will be the smallest part. So after that, you only have to connect the parts and pieces, and you'll get a good, solid, consistent body proportions. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do a practice drawing of our little bunny rabbit here. He's a little different than the other animals that we were looking at, and what I'm going to show you to do is on your piece of paper in your drawing book, you use one of your pencils. It really doesn't matter right now because this is just a practice drawing. I'm going to use my layout pencil because I like the nice dark line. And I've got my handy eraser in case I make some mistakes. I'm going to look at my bunny. I need to find the hips. Now, a bunny or a rabbit has powerful hips in order to drive those huge legs forward and hop through the air. His chest is much smaller, and then he's got a pretty good size head. So on my paper, I'm going to look at my bunny. I'm going to find those hips right here. That's going to be my largest circle. I'm going to find his chest. He's kind of hunched over, so his chest is right here. And those shapes are going to overlap. And then his head. Right here. Large, medium, small. And then you're just going to start to connect them. His head is connected to his back of his chest. Curve down. I don't want to follow the circle I made. Those were just guidelines. Curve down here. Now his hip, because of his leg is bent like that, it's going to come around like this. And then you've got that foot attached to it, which is an oval. You're looking for simple shapes. His head is also an oval. He's got on there, his little paw down here would be an oval. Right here in the snow, he's got his little oval tail. Those nice long ears are kind of oval shape. And those beautiful eyes look like big footballs. And then let's give him a little nose. So basically that's your rabbit. You start with the large circle for hips, a medium circle for his chest, a smaller circle for his legs. Then you're going to connect the head to the chest, to the hips, round here for the rest of his leg, his foot, which is an oval. Continue to finish up his head, connect that to his chest. Add those big ears. Add some details now. Huge dark eyes. A little nose. Some toes. I'm going to add some background. So I want you to take some time. I want you to try and practice one of these, your little rabbit on your own, in your own book, and see what you come up with. Remember, there's no problem with erasing and trying again. That also, you can turn your paper over and try it on the other side. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. I'm going to try and draw, I'm going to leave the bunny here, but I'm going to try and draw one of the other animals. I'm going to keep the bunny. I know. I'll use my little Maisie. Do that. Move it back like. Maisie. Can they see that good enough? Yeah, I think that's good. Here we go. I'm going to try and draw the elephant. So I'm going to give the elephant a shot here. I'm going to turn my paper over. Let's see. Okay, hips back here. Chest up here. Head here. How are we doing? The elephant's legs are much more square than our other animals. Let's see. Belly. And the back leg, looking at angles. This is angled back. He's taking a step. Front leg. We got that big ear. Front leg. This girl's got some big legs on her. Tusk and nose. Ear. Elephants have little tiny eyes compared to the rest of them. So I want to make that proportionate to the rest of her. Ooh, she's got tusks. Two. Large square head. So there's my elephant. How are you doing on your rabbit? Make sure you pay attention to how round this rabbit is. Doesn't have very many straight lines or angles. Okay, go ahead and continue to practice your drawing. Try another one. Look through a magazine, find a picture. How about your dog? Maybe you have a really nice picture of your dog or your cat and you want to give that a try. Pay attention because each animal, the proportions are slightly different. You know, the head might be smaller or larger, depending on the kind of animal it is, whether it has to move quickly. Obviously, our elephant does not move very quickly, so she's very large and round. But the rabbit has those ginormous feet in order for him to move fast and jump high. So pay attention to the size and the shape of each of these body parts and give it a try. And I'll be back for part 3.